Hey guys, and welcome back to The Binger! When you think of Star Wars, you probably think of many iconic images. Luke with his lightsaber or Princess Leia in that gold bikini. Stormtroopers are also a staple of George Lucas's creation. You might not see them in swimwear, but they're equally impressive. Let's take a look at the best of the best, ranked. They're classic and white, the original bad boys of the Galactic Empire. They may not be that visually stunning to look at, but the Stormtrooper figure is undeniable. As part of the Imperial Army's Stormtrooper Corps, these guys have no other purpose but to serve. With E11 blaster rifles and a utility belt that puts the Boy Scouts to shame, you don't want to get in the way of these dudes. Originally, clones made up the ranks. But this soon changed as clones aged quicker than humans. It wasn't long before human-born conscripts rose up through the ranks to replace the 12,800-strong army. While they're undoubtedly intimidating and merciless, these stormtroopers did have their weaknesses. They were taught to push ahead toward the end goal despite all costs, whether that meant physical injury or leaving a comrade behind. Sure, this has its plus points, but it can also be really dumb too. If you're still going when thousands of other troopers have been obliterated, it's probably only a matter of time before you get laid low yourself, right? These guys don't have an off switch, which is both their biggest asset and their biggest flaw. Imagine all the might of the land-based version, only underwater. These aquatic a-holes are specifically trained in bringing the pain to the underwater worlds of the Galactic Empire. For instance, planets like Naboo have residents that live primarily under the surface, as do Kamino and Mon Cala. Just because they live under the sea doesn't mean they're protected from the monstrosities of space, though. On the contrary, no one is beyond the reach of the Imperial Army. With lightweight armor that was specially designed to help them maneuver underwater, the Sea Troopers can stay submerged for over an hour. They even have inbuilt propulsion units, so they can whiz through the water like a bullet. Just like their previous counterparts, the Sea Troopers hold extra rations in their utility belts in case they get peckish. As well as this, they also have an impressive pop-up air bubble tent in case they can't make it to the surface for any reason. Their handy SG-4 blaster rifles can serve up some serious pain, blasting miniature harpoon darts underwater. These guys first reared their ugly heads in 2018's Darth Vader number 15, when the man himself launched an attack on Mon Cala. Mine troopers, or tunnel troopers, man the mines of planets that have underground harvesting facilities. So what sets these dudes apart from the rest? Their tan-colored suits and airtight bodysuits are pretty awesome, but their purpose is the real icing on the cake. Their job is to make sure that the spice miners don't get too big for their boots, and to ensure that the mining equipment stays safe. After all, these things cost to repair. Even space has an economy to worry about. They're also tasked with punishing anyone that dares to step out of line, making public examples of them. Many planets trade mainly in spice, and the Spice Lords aren't the nicest of bosses. As it's such a valuable commodity, they use slaves to mine, and they usually weren't happy about it. Mine troopers rule over these business ventures with an iron fist, making sure that everything goes as it should. Is anyone really going to mess around when they've got these terrifying figures watching their every move? Probably not, or at least not if they value their lives. It just isn't worth the risk in situations like this, kids. What's scarier than an all-white getup? Try throwing some red in there too. It's an angry color that just screams aggression. The Red Guard are mainly known to Star Wars fans as the chief protectors of Emperor Palpatine, but their role goes way beyond that. They often lead the Force on the front lines of special missions that require a little bit of extra firepower. The Shock Troopers were hand-picked to be specially trained as elite Stormtroopers, the best of the best. The red armor makes them easily distinguishable, but other than that, their suits really aren't that different to your average Stormtrooper. There are some differences though. Shock Troopers have a DLT-19 heavy blaster rifle and a rocket launcher at their disposal, as well as some very impressive KE-6B landmines. That's firepower that you wouldn't want to mess with in a hurry, that's for sure. These gents first appeared in the game Star Wars Commander, but crop up in another popular shooting game, Star Wars Battlefront. Are they the most interesting? Perhaps not, but they are among the most powerful in terms of both firepower and reputation. Isn't that all that really matters in the end? Let's throw it way back, even further than the Stormtroopers that we know and love. The Clone Troopers were the ones that really set the stage for things to come. Jedi Master Sifo Dyas gave the order to build an army. After he had a vision predicting the rise of an evil empire, he wanted to protect the Republic, but the Jedi Council thought he was a raving loony. They swiftly booted him from his chair, but Diaz had already set the wheels in motion. Sadly for everyone, Darth Sidious and his apprentice Count Dooku caught wind of what he was up to and killed him. They took his cloning operation over, and well, the rest is history. Count Dooku based the clone troopers on bounty hunter Jango Fett, who was paid handsomely for his efforts. He was also allowed to have one clone to be his son. Isn't that sweet? We've got these troopers to thank for a lot, seeing as they had a big part to play when they were engaged to execute Order 66. This led to the annihilation of the Jedi Order in the ever-popular Revenge of the Sith. You really don't get better entertainment than this. As if the various versions of Stormtroopers weren't enough to make you quake in your boots, they had to make a death squad. Just as Emperor Palpatine was shifting the focus from clones to human-born troopers, he decided to make the most of his last batch. Using the final clones made from Jango Fett's genes, Palpatine created the Purge Troopers. This motley-looking crew served Darth Vader and the Inquisitorius, 12 Jedi hunters that were tasked with ensuring Order 66 had been completed. The Inquisitor Troopers assisted in this, making sure no stone was left unturned in the Great Jedi Call. In an interesting twist, they were sent to Mon Cala in Darth Vader number 13. There, Padawan Farron Barr used them to defeat members of the Inquisitorius program. Since they were once Jedi, Barr manipulates the Force on the troopers and they take them out. It's a stroke of genius, really. They looked vastly different from the standard prototype, dressed in all-black suits with white and red detailing. Seeing as these soldiers meant business, it's probably better to be dressed in darker colors. White gets so messy with the spoils of war, doesn't it? No one wants to go to the car wash 10 times a day. Home on the intergalactic spaceship? You wouldn't catch these guys with a pipe and slippers on the front porch. To them, sleep is for the weak. There's a reason why other troopers are scared of them, and it's not because they hog the showers in the mornings. They've got giant magnetic boots that keep them steady on fast-moving vehicles, and fur-lined armor that keeps them warm and cozy. That part sounds slightly less threatening, but they're in some seriously harsh conditions. It's not like they just need a security blanket. Range troopers guard some very important cargo with valuable coaxium inside. Without coaxium, ships wouldn't be able to jump into hyperspace, and then where would they be? It's also a brilliant asset to trade, and is often shifted from one bad guy to another for payment. They take their orders from Dryden Voss and the crime syndicate Crimson Dawn. In Solo: A Star Wars Story, a young Han plans to steal the lot, but of course, it doesn't go to plan, and the range troopers have something to say about it. It makes for a brilliant scene. Want to find something in a hurry? Looking to get the lay of the land before launching into combat? Send in the Scout Troopers. They're the only ones for the job. In Return of the Jedi, George Lucas introduced these Imperial bad boys. It may go without saying, but they focus on recon and infiltration missions. They whiz around on speeder bikes, earning them the nickname Biker Scouts. They protect the SLD-26 planetary shield generator on the forest moon of Endor and have had run-ins with multiple fan favorites. Luke, Han, Leia, and Chewie have all come up against the Scouts at some point. In fact, Luke and Leia even made off with some speeder bikes on one jaunt through the forest. These troopers aren't just fast, but they have an impeccable shot too. With E-11 long-range blaster pistols, they're able to pin down their targets without being close. They're also fiercely adaptable, thanks in part to the way they've been trained to work with different terrains. The vast majority of troopers aren't able to do anything other than one set thing, but the Scouts are different. They often have to make snap decisions due to their surroundings, and they don't think twice about doing so. What do you get when you add fire with some of the biggest meanies in the galaxy? Flametroopers. They're scary as heck. In The Force Awakens, several of these maniacal madmen set a small village on fire. Innocent people are slaughtered, but the troopers really aren't bothered at all. The First Order infantry gun down the ones that try to flee with laser blasts, making it clear that no one gets out. They crop up again in The Last Jedi when Captain Phasma calls them into the ship that holds Finn and Rose. Each flame trooper comes packing a D-93 incinerator with a double-barreled flame projector gun attached to a backpack with two Conflagreen 14 fuel tanks. What's more, their visors have been narrowed so they don't get all that nasty glare in their eyes from the flames. The Empire really does think of everything, don't they? They even have supplemental breathing tanks pumping in fresh air so they don't have to fill their lungs with all that smoke. Or, you know, the ashes of their victims. Resistance fighters lovingly dubbed this particular brand of trooper Toasters. It's not difficult to see why, is it? When it comes to names, it's all down to what makes it memorable. Calling them fluffy bunny troopers wouldn't exactly strike fear into the hearts of millions now, would it? In terms of sheer terror, the Shadow Troopers just might win, hands down. Shadow Troopers first reared their stealthy heads in the Star Wars Jedi Knight video game series. A villain not unlike others we've seen before is trying to make his own version of the Empire, so rightly called in Dark Jedi Desan to help create the army. They came up with these black armored troopers with the ability to use lightsabers. Pretty cool, right? They also come with integrated synthetic force crystals, so they can harness the power within the Valley of the Sith. While they don't get the true Force powers, they do get a knockoff version of them that includes Force Grip. They're really hard to defeat, making them a foe that isn't to be underestimated. However, take them out of the Valley of the Sith and they do become more vulnerable. Not weak and distressed, just slightly more slayable. They don't exist anymore though, as when they were sent to destroy the Jedi Praxium of Luke Skywalker on Yavin 4, they never made it out alive. There you have it. Do you agree with us, or would you have another type of trooper topping the list? Sound off in the comments. Before you go, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.